It's always good to have you here with us, practicing and learning, and just spending a bit of time together. I'm Anna.
And I'm Mike. Hello, Anna. And hello to everyone listening wherever you are in the world. Maybe you're at home, maybe you're on the bus, or maybe you're out for a walk right now. Wherever you are, we're happy you're here.
I have to tell you something about my morning because it was honestly ridiculous. I told myself last night that today I was finally going to wake up early and get some exercise before work. I even set my alarm for 5:30 a.m., which already felt a little heroic.
5:30 is serious commitment. So how did it go? Did you jump out of bed, tie your shoes, and start training like an athlete?
Not even close. The alarm went off, I opened one eye, looked at the ceiling, and all I could think was, why do mornings exist? I reached over, turned off the alarm, and fell back asleep. When I woke up again, it was 7:15.
That feeling is so familiar. It's that moment where you believe in the future version of yourself. Future Anna wakes up early, exercises, drinks water, meditates, reads a book, and then gets ready for work calmly. Meanwhile, present Anna has different priorities, like staying under the warm blanket.
That's the thing. Last night, I truly believed I would wake up full of energy and motivation. I imagined myself running in place with a big inspirational smile. But reality said no. Reality said sleep.
And then comes the guilt, right? That tiny voice that whispers, you should have done the exercise. You should have been stronger. You should have kept that promise to yourself.
Oh, yes. I felt a little disappointed in myself all morning. Not deeply sad, but just irritated. Like, come on, Anna, you said you were going to do it. It's funny how exercise makes us emotional like that. It's not just physical. It's about expectations and self-control and habits.
And also about how we see ourselves. We want to be healthier, stronger, more disciplined. We want to be the kind of person who exercises regularly. But our bodies are like, let's rest just a little more.
And the funny thing is, this actually makes our topic today perfect because we're talking about daily exercise and fitness vocabulary in English. It's something almost everyone struggles with in one way or another.
Some people love fitness. Some people hate it. Some people go through emotional seasons. They work out every day for a month and then suddenly nothing for 3 months. I think most of us live somewhere in between those extremes.
And when we talk about exercise, we also talk about motivation, guilt, pride, frustration, excuses, progress, and sometimes embarrassment. There's a lot there. So not only is this topic useful for your English, but it's also relatable as a human experience.
Before we jump into all of that, can we make a little request to our listeners?
Always. If you're enjoying Speak English Daily, and if learning English in this natural conversation style is helpful for you, please subscribe to the channel.
And give this episode a like. It makes a bigger difference than you might think. It helps other English learners find us, and it tells the algorithm that these conversations are valuable.
Share it with a friend, too. If you know someone who's learning English or someone who wants to start exercising more, send them this video. Who knows? Maybe you can exercise and learn English together.
I like that idea. 2 habits at once. Very efficient.
All right, so let's get into our topic. Today, we're talking about fitness vocabulary and how to talk about daily exercise in English. We're going to explain useful words and phrases and have a real conversation where we actually use them naturally.
And we'll be honest about our own fitness habits, the good and the bad. No pretending to be perfect, no pretending to be super athletes, just real life.
Speaking of real life, let's start by introducing a few fitness vocabulary words that will make everything we say easier to understand. And the first one is cardio. Cardio refers to exercise that makes your heart beat faster and makes you breathe harder. It includes things like running, swimming, cycling, dancing, jump rope, or even fast walking. It's short for cardiovascular exercise, and it focuses on strengthening your heart and lungs.
What I find funny about cardio is how dramatic the body can feel during it. Sometimes you finish a run and you feel powerful, like you're full of energy and light. Other times you feel like your lungs transformed into tiny fireballs and your legs are made of wet noodles. Cardio has moods.
Then we have the word tone. When someone says they want to tone their muscles, they mean they want their muscles to look more defined and firm without necessarily getting huge. You hear people say things like, "I want to tone my legs before summer," or "I'm trying to tone my arms a little." It's about shaping the body and making things look tighter.
Another very common word is sore. Sore describes how your muscles feel after you exercise. It's that tender, slightly painful feeling you get the next day after doing something like squats, push-ups, or weight training. People love complaining about soreness because it hurts, but it also makes you feel proud, like your body is telling you it remembers what you did yesterday.
There's also the word rep. Rep is short for repetition. It means one complete movement of an exercise. So if you lift a dumbbell once, that's 1 rep. If you do it 12 times, that's 12 reps. Exercises are often organized in sets, like 3 sets of 12 reps. It gives structure to the workout.
And then there's a phrase that hits a lot of people emotionally, hitting a plateau. A plateau is when you stop making progress even though you're still exercising. Maybe you aren't getting stronger, you aren't losing weight, or you aren't improving your endurance. You're working, but nothing is changing. Plateaus can be frustrating and even discouraging because you feel like your effort isn't being rewarded anymore.
And here's the thing, learning vocabulary is useful, but the real magic happens when you connect those words to your own experience. Exercise lives in the body, but it also lives in emotions, routines, and everyday choices.
Which makes me curious about our listeners. Everyone's life looks different, so everyone's version of cardio looks different too. For some, it's a morning run. For others, it's chasing their kids around the living room or dancing while they cook dinner.
So viewers, if you're listening right now, tell us in the comments what counts as cardio for you. Not what you wish counted, but what actually makes your heart beat faster in your real life.
And don't stress about making mistakes in English. You're practicing by talking about something genuine, and that's the best kind of practice. We read the comments, and it's always fascinating how varied people's lives are.
Now that we've got this vocabulary on the table, I think we should talk about how often we actually exercise and what that reality looks like, not the fantasy version we imagine the night before.
All right, let's be honest then. How often do you actually exercise in a normal week? Not in your dream world, not in the version of your life where you wake up at sunrise and stretch in the garden. I mean the real version, the one that includes alarms that get ignored and evenings where the couch feels magnetic.
I think a lot of people relate to that. There's this gap between who we want to be and who we actually are day to day. For me, I think I exercise around 3 times a week when things are going well. But then there are those weeks where everything collapses and I might exercise once or not at all. And then I feel guilty, like I betrayed my future self.
Yes, the future self is always disappointed in us, and Monday is always the day we promise to become a better version. Monday is such a funny symbol. It feels like this magical starting point. Every Sunday night I tell myself, Monday is the day. And then by lunchtime on Monday, I'm tired and stressed and telling myself, maybe tomorrow.
Monday is the International Day of Self-Improvement. It's like the world agreed that Monday is for starting diets, exercise routines, new habits, and better attitudes. It rarely works, but we try again the next week. So, when you do exercise, what kind of exercise do you prefer? Do you like going outside? Do you like the gym? Do you exercise at home?
I like going to the gym most of the time. I usually lift weights or use the machines there. Sometimes I run on the treadmill if I feel like doing cardio. The treadmill is that machine where you run in one place while the belt moves under your feet.
I've always found treadmills boring. It feels so strange to run and never actually go anywhere. I prefer running outside when the weather is nice. It feels refreshing and more natural.
I agree that running outside feels nicer, but sometimes the weather or the time of day just makes excuses too easy. If it's raining or cold or dark, suddenly I'm like, well, obviously I can't run today. So the treadmill removes some of those excuses for me.
That's true. Weather is one of my favorite excuses. If it's too hot, too cold, too windy, too anything, I can convince myself that exercise is impossible. Which makes me wonder, what's your number one excuse when you decide not to exercise?
Honestly, I'm too tired. That's my classic excuse. It doesn't matter if I woke up early, slept 8 hours, or did nothing all day. As soon as it's time to exercise, suddenly I'm exhausted. It's like my body has a secret strategy to avoid physical effort.
My most common excuse is I don't have time, which isn't even true most of the time. If something is really important, we make time for it. But somehow exercise can feel optional, so it becomes the first thing we sacrifice.
And then there's the famous phrase, "I'll start next week." The most dangerous sentence in the world for habit building.
The emotional part of exercise is fascinating because it's not just about strength or endurance. It's also about motivation, self-image, frustration, and sometimes comparison. You see people online doing intense workouts and you think, why am I not like that?
And then you forget that those videos show the best moments, not the moments where they felt lazy or unmotivated or insecure. We rarely see anyone struggle, we only see the highlight reel.
Exactly. So let's talk about preferences for a second. Do you prefer exercising alone or with other people?
I usually prefer exercising alone. I like doing it at my own pace. If I exercise with other people, I feel pressure to go faster or lift heavier or pretend I have more energy than I actually do. It becomes stressful instead of helpful.
I understand that, but exercising with a friend can also feel encouraging, like you're not suffering alone. You're doing something hard together and talking at the same time.
True, and walking with a friend doesn't even feel like exercise sometimes. You talk, you laugh, and suddenly you've been moving for an hour without noticing it.
Walking is so underrated. People forget how good it is for the body. You don't need to run marathons to be healthy. Sometimes a simple walk can do wonders for the mind and the muscles.
Now that we're talking about preferences, I think it's a good time to introduce a few more fitness words that describe how we challenge our bodies and how our bodies respond. Because exercise isn't just about moving around, it's also about how hard we push ourselves, how we recover, and how our progress changes over time.
A great word for this is intense. When a workout is intense, it means it's very strong, demanding, or extreme. Your heart beats fast, your muscles work hard, and you might be sweating after just a few minutes. Some people love intense workouts because they feel powerful afterward. Others hate them because they feel like they're being attacked by their own routine.
There's also the phrase, push yourself. When someone pushes themselves, it means they try harder than what feels comfortable. If you normally stop after 10 push-ups, pushing yourself means doing 2 or 3 more even though your arms are burning. There's something emotional about pushing yourself because it forces you to confront your limits and decide if you can go a little further.
And push-ups are another good vocabulary term. Push-ups are exercises where you lie face down and push your body up using your arms. They're great for building strength in your arms, chest, and shoulders. The problem is they're brutal. Every time I do push-ups, my body wants to collapse after the 4th one. Same. Push-ups look simple in theory, but in practice, they're humbling. And humility is definitely part of the fitness journey. There's something about exercise that makes you confront how strong or weak you actually are. And sometimes that realization is uncomfortable.
Then we have the word flexible. When you're flexible, your body can bend and stretch easily. Some people are naturally flexible and can touch their toes or do splits without much effort. Others, like me, feel like our legs are made of stiff wooden boards. Stretching feels like an ancient torture method.
Flexibility connects nicely to another word, recovery. Recovery refers to the time your body needs to rest and repair itself after exercising. A lot of beginners think the progress happens during the workout, but actually the progress happens during recovery. When you rest, your muscles rebuild from the tiny stress you put on them during the workout.
And soreness is often a clue that your body is in recovery mode. It's like your muscles whispering, "We're working on it. Just give us a minute." That's why rest days are important. If you exercise too hard without resting, you can burn out.
Burnout means becoming exhausted or overwhelmed from pushing too hard for too long. Sometimes when people get really excited about a fitness routine, they go all in for a few weeks. They exercise every day without resting. And then suddenly they lose all motivation and stop entirely because their body or mind can't keep up anymore.
And that brings us to the concept of motivation. Motivation is the feeling or reason that makes you want to do something. It's your drive, your desire, your purpose. The challenge is that motivation is not stable. It disappears sometimes. It comes back sometimes. It changes based on mood, energy, stress, and environment.
There are mornings where motivation practically jumps out of bed before you do, and there are evenings where motivation is nowhere to be found, hiding under the sofa with the dust and missing socks. And that's when we make excuses.
Which is why routines matter. A routine is a regular pattern or schedule. When you have a routine, you don't rely on motivation as much. You just follow the schedule. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or mornings or evenings. Routines make exercise feel like brushing your teeth. Not exciting, not emotional, just something you do.
And here's a question that always makes me curious. When motivation is low, what keeps you going? Some people rely on music, some rely on community, some rely on goals, and some rely on habit. Everyone has a different anchor.
If you're listening right now, tell us in the comments what helps you stay motivated or get back on track when you lose energy. Does music help you, a friend, a routine, a goal? Tell us your strategy.
And don't worry if your strategy isn't glamorous. Sometimes the strategy is simply putting on workout clothes so you don't talk yourself out of it. Sometimes the strategy is promising yourself that you'll just do 5 minutes and seeing where it goes.
Speaking of goals and strategies, I think we should talk about fitness goals and the emotional roller coaster that comes with them, because goals sound great in theory, but in practice they involve struggles, disappointments, progress, and sometimes unexpected pride.
I think goals are one of the most revealing parts of exercise because they show what we're secretly hoping for. Some goals are about strength, like wanting to lift heavier weights. Some are about appearance, like wanting to tone your arms or stomach. Some are about endurance, like running longer without stopping. And some are just about consistency, like exercising 3 times a week without quitting.
I remember last year I set a goal for myself that I was very serious about. I wanted to be able to hold a plank for 3 full minutes by the end of the year. A plank is that exercise where you support your body with your forearms and toes, keeping your body straight like a board. It works your core muscles, which means your stomach and lower back area.
Planks are no joke. The first 10 seconds feel fine, the next 10 seconds feel a little challenging, and then suddenly your entire body starts shaking and your brain starts questioning all your life decisions.
Exactly. When I started, I could barely hold a plank for 40 seconds before collapsing, but I trained here and there over the months, sometimes consistently, sometimes not, and by the end of the year, I reached 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Not quite the full goal, but much better than where I began.
And that's something people don't talk about enough. Even when you don't reach the exact goal, there's still progress. Maybe not perfect progress, but progress nonetheless. And progress feels good because it proves that your effort isn't meaningless.
What about you? Have you ever set a fitness goal that mattered to you?
Yes. Last year, my goal was to improve my flexibility. I wanted to be able to bend forward and touch my toes without bending my knees. I've always been stiff, especially in my hamstrings, which are the muscles in the back of your thighs. When I started, I couldn't even reach my ankles. I was like 10 centimeters away from my toes.
And how far can you go now?
I'm about 3 centimeters away from touching my toes. Still not perfect, but much closer. And honestly, I feel proud of that. Every centimeter felt like a small victory.
I love that. People underestimate how strong smaller goals are. Not everyone needs to run marathons or lift huge weights. Sometimes the goal is just feeling better in your body, or feeling less pain, or being able to play with your kids without getting winded. Those goals are just as meaningful.
Speaking of goals, some people love exercising with other people because it pushes them. They feel encouraged. They feel part of something. They feel less alone.
And others prefer exercising completely alone because they like moving at their own pace without feeling watched or compared. I'm definitely more on the solo side. When I'm at the gym, I like putting on headphones and just entering my own world. No small talk, no pressure, just me and the weights.
I go back and forth. Sometimes I love working out alone because I don't have to match anyone else's rhythm, but sometimes it feels lonely and I miss the social part. Going for a walk with a friend is honestly one of my favorite exercises because it doesn't feel like exercise. It feels like therapy with movement.
Walking really is underrated. People think exercise has to be intense or dramatic to count, but a 30-minute walk each day can completely change how you feel. It's good for your joints, it's good for your heart, it helps you think, and it gets you outside.
And you don't need fancy equipment, you don't need a gym membership, you don't need perfect form. You just need shoes and a place to walk, and that makes it accessible to almost anyone.
The funny thing is, we look at runners and marathon athletes and imagine they're superhuman, but a marathon is just a long race. It's 42 kilometers. What those people have isn't magic, it's training, and training is just consistent practice over time.
Training also makes me think of plateaus, because no matter how strong or experienced someone is, everyone eventually hits them. Even athletes. The body adapts, progress slows down, and suddenly you're stuck.
And plateaus can be emotional too. They make you question whether it's worth continuing. But sometimes the body just needs variety, or more rest, or a slightly different approach. The key is figuring out why you're stuck instead of assuming you're failing.
That's true. And speaking of emotionally complicated moments, I think we should talk about embarrassing exercise stories, because no fitness journey is complete without at least one moment that makes you wish you could temporarily disappear from planet Earth.
Oh no, we're really doing this, aren't we?
We are absolutely doing this, and you're going first.
All right, fine, I'll go first. So, a few months ago, I decided to try a new class at the gym. It was one of those high-energy group classes with loud music, colorful lights, and an instructor who looked like they could run up a mountain for fun. The class involved jumping, kicking, twisting, and all kinds of movements I was not prepared for.
I can already feel where this is going.
About halfway through the class, we were supposed to do this move where we jump sideways and then lunge. A lunge is where you step forward with one leg and lower your body. Well, I jumped sideways, landed a little too confidently, lost my balance, and my foot slipped. I didn't fall to the floor, which would have been embarrassing enough. No, I fell into the person next to me.
Oh no.
And not just a tiny bump, I fell into them with full commitment. We both went stumbling sideways into another person, and suddenly it was like a tiny human domino effect. One person tripped, another person flailed their arms, and the instructor stopped the music because the chaos was too loud to ignore.
That sounds catastrophic.
The worst part was the instructor asked if we were okay into the microphone. Into the microphone. The entire class turned and stared. I was sweating twice as much from embarrassment as from the exercise. I wanted to walk out of the building and change my identity.
Did you at least stay for the rest of the class?
Of course not. I stayed out of stubbornness. I was like, I will finish this class even if I break into 1,000 pieces. I finished it, bowed to the instructor, and left as fast as I could. I never went back to that class again. I see it in the schedule sometimes, and my soul leaves my body.
That is incredible. I'm impressed by your commitment to finish after causing a miniature sporting disaster. All right, my turn.
This should be good.
So, last year, I joined a Pilates class at a studio near my apartment. Pilates is a type of exercise that focuses on strength, flexibility, and control. It's usually done on a mat or on a machine called a reformer. Everything is slow and precise, and the room is usually very quiet.
I've taken Pilates before. The silence is intense. It feels like a library, but with leg lifts.
Exactly. So there I am, lying on the mat, lifting my legs, focusing on my breathing, trying to look serene. And then, during one of the exercises, my hip made the loudest popping sound I have ever heard in my entire life. It echoed in the quiet room like a sound effect from a movie.
Oh no.
Everyone heard it. The instructor paused. The woman next to me tried to pretend nothing happened, but I could see in her eyes that she was fighting the urge to laugh. I felt my face turn bright red. And the worst part? The instructor looked at me and said, very calmly, "Are you all right, dear?"
That makes it 10 times worse. The soft, polite concern is so brutal.
I nodded and whispered yes, like I had just survived a battlefield. And then I kept going. But for the rest of the class, every tiny movement made me paranoid that my hip would become a percussion instrument again.
That's absolutely amazing. Did you go back to that class?
I did, but only after waiting 2 weeks so I could convince myself everyone would forget who I was, although I'm sure they didn't.
These stories are important. They remind us that exercise isn't always glamorous. It involves awkwardness, slipping, strange noises, and moments that make us want to sink into the floor. But embarrassment is part of being human. And if you exercise long enough, something funny or humiliating will eventually happen.
And afterward, you can laugh about it. Maybe not right away, but eventually. And honestly, those stories make exercise more relatable. No one is perfect. No one moves gracefully all the time. We're all just trying to take care of our bodies while occasionally crashing into strangers or making unusual sounds in silent rooms.
Now that we've humbled ourselves with public confessions, I think we should balance things out by talking about the positive side of exercise. Because for all the frustration, excuses, and embarrassment, there are also moments that feel genuinely good, moments that make effort worthwhile.
Yes, the benefits, the rewards, the things that keep us coming back even when motivation disappears. Let's talk about why exercise can make us feel so good, both physically and emotionally. For me, the best feeling happens right after I finish exercising. It's that warm sense of accomplishment. I might be sweaty, tired, or out of breath, but there's this quiet voice in my head that says, "You did it." And that feeling is addictive in a very gentle way.
I know that feeling. There's also something called endorphins. Endorphins are chemicals your brain releases when you exercise. They can make you feel happy, calm, or energized. People sometimes call it the exercise high because it gives you a natural boost in mood.
And I love noticing progress. Not dramatic progress, just small things. When your legs feel stronger climbing stairs, or you run a little longer without stopping, or you can finally lift something that used to feel heavy. Those tiny improvements make you proud because they're proof that your effort has meaning.
Exercise also helps your mind. Some people say it reduces stress or clears their thoughts, and I agree. When I move my body, it feels like my brain relaxes. The worries soften a little. The day feels more manageable.
And maybe the most beautiful part is that exercise teaches patience. You don't become strong in a week. You don't become flexible in a day. You build things slowly. And the slowness is the point. It reminds you that growth is a process.
That's why we wanted to talk about fitness today. It's not just about muscles or sweat. It's about how you feel in your body and in your mind. And English learners deserve to talk about that too.
Before we end this episode, there's one more piece we need to add, something that involves our listeners directly. All right, here's our challenge for our listeners. We want you to think about your own relationship with exercise. Not the ideal version, not the perfect plan, just the real version.
And we want you to share a little piece of it with us in the comments. Tell us what kind of exercise you do, how often you do it, and how it makes you feel. And if you want extra practice, try using some of the vocabulary from today, like cardio, sore, routine, or motivation.
Don't worry about spelling mistakes or grammar. This is where you practice. And reading your answers helps us understand what topics matter to you and what you want to learn next.
And if this conversation helped you, please subscribe to Speak English Daily and give this episode a like. It helps more learners find us, and it tells us that you enjoy this way of learning.
And share the episode with a friend. Who knows, maybe you'll become workout buddies and language buddies at the same time. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you for spending your time with us and practicing your English in a real, human way.
We hope this conversation made you feel understood, motivated, and maybe even a little less alone in your fitness journey.
Whether you exercise every day or once a month, the important thing is that you're trying. Your body belongs to you, and you get to take care of it in your own way, at your own pace.
Don't compare yourself to others. Just do what feels right for your life, your health, and your happiness.
We'll see you in the next episode. Keep learning, keep moving, and be kind to yourself.
Take care, everyone, and happy learning.
Goodbye.